howdy doody duties. You know, I get more questions sent to me and asked me about things that I figured everybody knew about, but I got to tell you, this one I kind of liked. Number one was, what am I? Isn't that a good question? He writes me, he says, this wasn't a personal conversation, this was an email. And he writes me and he says, what am I? In other words, not just me, but all men. What are they? Well, I'll tell you what you are. First of all, you are a spirit. Like it or not, that's what animates you. That's what makes you the difference between a corpse and the grave. That's what makes you alive, is spirit. Now, there's a lot of different ways to look at spirit. Some people say, well, that's the energy, the dynamis and all that causes animation in life. Well, it's a little more than that, and we're going to get into that. Now, also, you're a soul. Yeah, you have a soul. That's different, too, and I'm going to tell you a little more about that as we go on. And then, last but not least, you have a mind, a mental mind. Well, you say, what about the physical body? What is that? Well, that's your vehicle. That's what all these are riding around in. It's kind of like your automobile. Think about it. You got an automobile outside, a car of some sort or truck, and you get in it, and then you turn on the key and start it up, and it goes anywhere you tell it to go. Well, that's like the body. Well, what does a car need to go? Well, number one, first of all, with that body, it has a motor that makes it move. That's like your bone, your skeleton, your muscles. And then it has a battery. Without the battery, it gets no spark so that it can help it move. No electricity, no movement. And then it needs some kind of fuel to make it go. And last but not least, you got to have the tires on. We go on and on and on about what it is. Same with your body. Your body has all these things in it. Not tires, gas, and oil. Well, it does have oil, come to think of it. And some of us do have gas, especially as we get older. But I think that you've got to realize that with that spirit and that soul and that mind, that's what tells that body what and how to do. Now, I'm going to make it simple and I'll make it brief for you so that we don't talk all day here. And we don't want to go into a lot of detail, because if you want detail, you need to contact us and we'll send you one of our seminars on disc, or we'll invite you to one, whichever the case may be. But the body, let's start with your body. Sometimes an automobile has a crash, a wreck, and it ain't in the best shape then, and other times it just kind of breaks down from overuse or not proper care. Same with your body. So it's your duty and your responsibility to take care of that body. Now let's start with the spirit. The spirit is eternal. It never changes. It has everything in it needs. It's permanent. Some people refer to spirit as God. And some people refer to the soul as spirit. Now, those are two different things. The spirit is the real you, but you've got to earn the right to it. You've got to have the right to use all the powers within the spirit. Now, old Paul, you remember him, used to be Saul, and then the tax collector. Then he had this big thing on the road to Damascus, and had a revelation, changed his name to Paul, went out, and he's the guy that actually started Christianity. He talked about Jesus, and what Jesus did, said, and taught. But on the other hand, it was old Paul that got this ball rolling, and all these churches. In particular, I'm going to tell you about one of his letters to the Corinthians. That was a group of people that had started a church for him, and he was telling them how to live and what to do and what to expect. And I'm going to go through that because that's important, and it goes along with what you are: spirit, mind, and a soul. So spirit, of course, is the universal you, and if you could learn to use spirit and get all the rights and everything that comes with it, you'd be really something. And I'm going to tell you about how you can be really something. Okay, now we're going to talk going to talk about that soul. Well, what's the purpose of man? That was his last question on that list of questions that he said. What is the purpose of all of this? I mean, where do we go from here? Well, is there a heaven? Is there hell? And all those things. And we're going to answer all those things, not today, but little at a time as you view this. We're going to give all those answers, and you'll have a pretty good thing. Now, I don't want you to take my word for anything. Oh, no. I want you to look everything up and rehash it and research it and then let your own mind come forth, because your mind is mighty powerful. We'll get into that too in a minute. But right now I want to tell you about the soul. The main purpose of your soul is to share the purpose with the human body. Now, what is the purpose of the human body? Well, it's to experience things, to learn things, to grow. And that's what the soul does. Your body, what we see is kind of like personality. And the soul is kind of like character. It's what you really have, what you really are. Now let's talk about the mind. Well, the mind is not just a brain. The brain is kind of like the programmer and the program. It sits in there and it helps you make things and decisions. But the mind is like you. It's the operator. It's what absorbs and searches and finds and expresses and tells the body, the physical body, what to express and how to do it. So the mind is not the soul is not the spirit, and the spirit is God working through you. Think about that. That's our big gift. All that energy of life, that intelligent energy is spirit. Now I'm going to read to you what Paul wrote in the 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 1 through 11. And I printed it out because I wanted the copy to read you and be exact. I don't just want to say it from memory, although I could, and you will too if you follow this. He says, "Now concerning spiritual gifts, brethren, I would not have you ignorant." And then it goes on to say, "Now there are diversities of gifts, but it's the same Spirit." That's the key. It's just one Spirit. The Spirit in you and the Spirit in me and the Spirit in everybody else is all the same Spirit. It's God. And it's given us all this life and this intelligence and this wisdom that our mind can pull out and use. He says, and there are differences of administrations, meaning there's different ways to use the gifts that we have. And there are diversities of operations, but it is the same Spirit which worketh in all. Boy, is he right about that. Now we'll start out with verse 7 says, "But the manifestation of the Spirit is given to every man to profit withal," meaning every gift, every one of them is yours if you want to develop them and earn the right to them. Okay? "For to one is given the spirit of the word of wisdom, to another the word of knowledge by the same Spirit, to another faith in the same Spirit, to another the gift of healing by the same Spirit, to another the working of miracles, to another prophecy, to another discerning of spirits and health, to another diverse kinds of language, to another the interpretations of language." We're talking about being able to help fellow man in different ways and places. "But all these worketh that one and selfsame Spirit, dividing to every man as he earns the right to," or it says severely as he will, which means as you do your part to earn the right. Nothing is free in life. Think about it. Oh, sure, they say buy one, get one free. That ain't free. You're paying for it. You're just paying a reduced rate. You know, it's kind of the same way in getting these gifts. We can get them all. And you may look at the guy that is able to be a psychotic or psychic, whichever you want to call them. I like them as psychotic. And, you know, maybe you're thinking, gee, I'd like to have that knowledge to know what's going to happen or to see the future and this type of thing. Well, you do. You got it all. I'd like to be able to lay my hand on somebody and heal them. You don't even need to do that. Jesus didn't always do that. You don't need to put limitations and regulations and ideas on how things have to be. Why? Because you have a mind. And your mind knows how to tap into all that wisdom. It's all within you. All you got to do is use it. How do you use it? Experience. And you earn the right to it. Well, that's all for today, and I'm glad that we got a chance to talk a little bit. God bless y'all. I can't hardly wait till next week myself. I know what's coming.